Okay, let's see how this will look when I go back to live soon. Okay, it's good. Starting soon. Ugh, can't believe you kept us waiting, Chaotic Rob.
Sorry.
It's all you, bro. It's all you. You had one job. Let's see.
One job. Wake up before noon.
Caco. Okay. I'm assuming since I did the opening for the last one, so I'll do it again.
Sounds
You still
good,
following that? There we go.
Yeah, I've never been good with the intro and outro.
It's bit. My voice. Okay.
Yeah, basically don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
No. That's what everybody knows him for now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the guy who almost sounds like he's gonna puke. I don't think that's the goal.
I don't think that's the goal either.
Yeah, while Syntax is away, he already is accumulating people that are waiting for the stream to start.
Yeah,
Yep.
same.
Yeah, I'm currently sitting at 0 at the moment. That'll probably climb a little bit once we get our Twitches posted on the Scum Discord.
What you name yours?
Oh, just Scum streamer discussion round 4. Just something basic and simple.
Called mine. So does not show my title on my Twitch to me.
Just out of kitty.
Scum discussion skills, stats, and more.
You didn't start streaming yet, or?
Well, I mean, I started streaming, but it's on the stream starting soon thing.
Ah, so they don't hear you. Okay.
They might hear
Just
me.
out of curiosity.
The microphone on the stream.
Look at him.
Yeah, they can hear.
I've got mine muted for my...
I actually gotta adjust the volume. Boom. There we go. We should
Actually,
all
I
be
have
good.
3 viewers already waiting.
I have
so-
2.
3 in mine.
You had 5 like half a minute ago.
4 in mine.
4. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm
so
ready
let's
whenever you guys
kick it
are.
off.
Give me
So,
1 second. I'm just gonna post my Twitch channel in the official Discord.
Is your
I
Twitch
did.
channel also Kako Donning?
I do it.
Is that how I say it? Kako Donning? Kako Dane? Okay, Kako Donning.
Oh, you posted mine as well? Okay.
I
Okay.
post everyone's.
So
Oh, okay.
Twitch,
I thought
Twitch,
you just
Twitch,
did-
Twitch. We're all on Twitch except for me on YouTube. Okay. Hey guys,
No,
it's no.
Isn't yeah, Kakotane doesn't even stream.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, I am live.
Okay, I'm live. You guys are live. We're all live. Okay. Okay, so.
Welcome.
Welcome. Okay. Hello guys, I'm SlaveToTheGames. This is another Scum discussion between myself, SlaveToTheGames, who's a YouTuber, and also starting on Twitch as of now, so don't forget to follow and subscribe to both. Thank you for stopping by. This is my first friend, Syntax Toxie. You should all know him.
Hello there, everybody.
And then also Chaotic Rob,
Hello!
who still doesn't have a mic. And then our new friend who's visiting, Kakodane.
I have a mic, I don't have a camera.
Welcome back to another Scum discussion where we're going to be talking about, mainly, I'm going to start off with some skills and stats facts that I've actually looked more into, and I'll be able to discuss more in depth than what you've previously heard before. And actually, I do have it pulled up right now, so I can actually go straight into it. And I actually lied! Just kidding. Somebody come up with a random fact while I scroll through this. I'm actually getting used to the second monitor right now, and I gotta get to it.
I actually had a point to make. We never actually got into weapons or actual items that are confirmed to be in the game.
We can get into that, but I have limited knowledge other than the fact that there. I mean, I did say that there was around 15 guns, as well as there's going to be rock spears. I did bring up like the basic melee weapons and the number at least of guns, but I didn't specify what guns were going to be in the game.
Yeah, don't forget about the bow as
Remember.
well.
Whoop. Yeah,
Ooh, I like these bows.
I'm interested about the bow.
Let's
Likewise.
see. It did say there was going to be a bow?
If they have different kind of bows as well, like if they have a composite bow that you can find for longer range. Well, no, I'm just saying it'd be interesting if they include that in
Oh.
there instead of just the makeshift one that you can make.
Well, why not have the makeshift one and being able to upgrade it? I think that would be even more interesting.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty nice.
Any comments?
I actually, sorry, I was looking through the thing and I actually found the skills finally. It just took a little bit of time. I don't have any comments for as far as weapons and items go and what we have for confirmed, because I haven't actually looked into that to try and find which weapons are confirmed for the game and which aren't, other than the ones I previously stated in our previous stream. So, unless you guys have something new that you know in terms of it, I actually do have the skills pulled up and I can actually go right into that.
Yeah, no, nothing
since
here.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be talking about in the skills is that leveling up your survival skills is obviously going to unlock new recipes that you'll be able to use to craft in the game. Think of it as a tier-based system, so tier 1 to tier 2, and so on. Or something as basic as well, basic, mediocre, expert, and master. So when you level up your survival, I'm assuming it's going to go for all recipes, food, fortifications, improvised scopes, etc. And then how well you are versed or how many skill points you have in survival will determine how well something is made.
What are
Nice
you
balloon.
doing?
When a
Just
vi-
wait for it. The Big Bang is gonna come.
Are you copying it for this, or?
no, the vibe handed it to me to tie it up. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Any one of you have a comment on that, or?
Sorry, I was focused on the
Not the balloon. What I said. We all got comments for the balloon.
So right now we're just talking about the different
Okay.
levels of each skill.
Yeah,
or-
basically, by leveling up your survival skill, just that one, it will increase your proficiency in your crafted recipes. Pretty much, it increases how many recipes you'll be able to craft. So depending, I'm assuming this means fortifications, modifications for weapons, and also what you can cook in the game. And then leveling this up may also and should also increase how well you cook it or how well you make something.
Isn't survival also the one that's linked to how many items you get when you go to, say, chop down a tree or cut down a bush?
It could be, although I haven't myself
They did
confirmed
say
that.
that with the higher skill level, you would get more items when you do those kind of things.
I mean, it does sound like it'd be something that would be in the survival skill, so...
It was actually mentioned, I believe, in the video where they also talked about cooking and medical skills.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's actually gonna be in.
Oh, I thought you were
It could be
continuing, my bad.
a really nice incentive for leveling up your skills.
Also, for everyone here who doesn't know, when you put one attribute point into whichever attribute you choose, strength, constitution, etc., you're going to get 2 skill points per attribute point, so that you can spill in whatever tree you put it in.
And when it comes to the individual levels for the skills, you can only go up to level 3 for during
Advanced.
character creation. Yeah, the advanced.
Yeah, because Advanced Plus can
And-
only be arrived at in-game.
And each level requires a different amount of attribute points when it comes to how much it costs to buy that skill during character creation.
I believe it's actually 1, 3, and then 6.
Yes.
Did you have something to say, Syntax? It sounded like you were going to say something. Or did I answer what you were going to say?
You did.
Oh, okay. And then, if you
But-
guys... Oh,
What?
Continue.
When we are already talking about the skills and whatnot, I believe that not all recipes should be unlocked by tiers or whatnot. I think there should be only a few special recipes that are unlockable by upgrading your skills.
What about
And,
events as well? Like, you can win certain recipes.
Or that as well.
Oh, that'd
But
be
the most,
interesting.
yeah, the most common ones should be unlocked from the start, from tier 1. But the difference is, if you try to make a more complex item or a food item or whatever, you're probably gonna fail at doing it, or it's gonna be pretty shitty, you know.
I did read that
There was
some.
one other thing in regards
Oh,
to
okay.
cooking. They did say that with a higher level cooking skill, the less items you're actually going to require to be able to make those same recipes. So the recipes themselves will be easier to produce.
Hmm. I mean, that kind of goes with proficiency, right? Like, the more,
Exactly,
say, like,
yeah,
if you're
so
not
there's
proficient at
less
it, you're going to
leftover.
use more because you're going to accidentally mess up or something along the way, you know? So it might simulate the fact of messing up and taking more, so that if you're more proficient, you're going to need less because you're going to use less than what a person who isn't
Exactly,
proficient
yeah.
would do. I agree with that. That actually sounds like something that would actually be a simulated reality in terms of cooking. And then, if you don't know, the younger you make your character, the higher dex bonus you're gonna get. And if you slide the slider back and forth, it will actually give you different bonuses towards your 4 main attributes that you'll be able to use. So, say you get 5. I'm not sure if this part's confirmed, because if it is, that means you'll be able to go past the max attribute level of 5 to a max of 7, for example. So, if you go to age 20, you're gonna get a +2 in your attributes for dexterity, which would then make you at a 7 dexterity, which, as we know, the max is 5. So, do you think that they're gonna make it?
Possible.
Do you think they're gonna make it to where you can go above it if you do it that way, or do you think that they're not going to, and it's just gonna give you bonus skill points, or maybe it doesn't even do that, and you have to kind of work around?
I think it's going to be a situation where you have to work around it, and where the maximum you can get for any individual attribute during character creation is 5. So if you're getting a +2 in dex, you have to take that into account when you're putting the attribute points in the attributes. So you take 2 off of the dex so that it's not going above the 5. Otherwise, you're sacrificing those attribute points.
Yeah. Well, another thing that can add to that is it might be hard to do that, because when you do make your character, there's a muscular, then a fat, and a thin kind of triangle that you move a slider around in, and that kind of is your base stats that it gives you. However, I think you can also type in what you would want. Like, there's the numbers where it shows like 5 muscular, 0 0. You can actually like type maybe like 3 3 3 3 or 3 4. You know, whatever combination you want, instead of just sliding it around, because then you can go like 2.3, 2.4, etc. And this is also going to be how you adjust the stats that you have at the basic. So it might be hard to actually create it to where you have a 7.
So with that being said, those of you that are out there watching, the thing to take away from this little talk that we're talking about with the attributes, do your age first, then put your attribute points in, so you don't accidentally waste attribute points.
I don't think it's gonna be able to actually waste them. I think that after you, let's say you put dexterity on 5, and then you adjust your age to 20, I think that actually the game itself will be smart enough to give you back those surplus 2 points on dexterity.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it might
think
actually punish people for not paying enough attention,
I think it's a bit too cruel for
because
messing up
the age
people
modifier,
too much.
because
too
the
much
age
of a just-
modifier is above the attribute bar, so they're expecting people to do that one before they actually decide on their attribute.
Well, I mean, in terms of that, if you're going off that, I don't think it's going to punish anybody, like, in terms of anything drastic. At the worst case scenario is it just wouldn't give you the bonuses for whatever
exactly,
it is.
you're losing
Or
out on those extra
they'll
points.
still give it to you, but like you said, how to do the age first, I actually disagree in this aspect, because the age is only giving you a +2 bonus to whatever you're doing. So you want to be able to make your character how you want them first. So I'd adjust the body slide to the character first, to how you want it, like dex base, strength, constitution, etc. So that, like, how you got your basic of what you're going to do, and then modify your age to that, because then it adds the bonuses towards if you want to strictly add it to whatever one you want most. Say, for example, I want my dex to be 5. So I put my dex to 5, but then I put my age up to kind of give me, like, whatever my lowest stat is, a bonus up to 5 as well, you know?
Yeah, but what if you already set your dex to 5?
Well, you could just change it, though. I mean,
That
it
extra
doesn't
plus
confirm
2
it.
for the dex doesn't give you up to 7, because they said the maximum, or at least from what we've seen so far, the maximum attribute would be 5.
Well, yeah, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, I'm saying what you should do is choose which one you want to go to 5 in terms of your attributes, and then to be safe, don't put that 2 into the 5 and kind of put it towards the lower skill that you have. So like maybe if it's a 1 or a 3, now it can be a 3 or a 5, you know? It kind of helps even out your main attributes.
Yeah, at least until after you've done the age.
Well, the age is doing... No. Like, do the attributes first, then the age, because the age can add the bonuses towards it, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, the age will already add the number to your attribute bar. So when you're putting points...
Well, yes, but if you do, what I'm saying is move it from what you have as max. What I'm saying is to take it, and instead of having dex for age and for your stats, have your dex, if say you're making a dex-based character, make your dex 5, and then move your age according to that so it doesn't give the dex bonus to the dex and gives it to something else. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, put the points in something else, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and then also as well that we have going into this is there's actually going to be 3 new things called crime, gear, and flaw, I believe. I could actually look for it specifically. And what these are going to do is I'm assuming that if you have a flaw, it's going to be something to where like maybe you're addicted to drugs or something, and now you have increased likelihood of being a little bit stronger or a little bit more resistant to a certain drug, or you could be even, your flaw could be that you're easily susceptible to being sick, or an illness could easily get you, you know what I mean?
So these 3, there are additional flaws that you can choose?
No, there's a flaw one, a crime one, and then there's a gear where it has like 3 slots. The gear one, I don't really know what it's for. Maybe it's a starting thing, but Syntax, yeah.
What are we talking about?
Okay, I'll go back. Basically, in the character creation screen, there under like at the very bottom, there's a grayed out area where it shows gear with 3 like plus symbols, which I'm assuming you can take 3 of whatever this gear is. I have no idea what it's going to be, so there's not much for me to discuss there. Then there's crime, which I'm going to assume is going to allow you to choose like what crime you did that brought you to this island. It just kind of makes sense.
Story, yeah.
And then there's going to be flaws, which like I said earlier is it pretty much might make it to where like your flaws being easily susceptible to being sick, or your flaws being addicted to drugs, or something like this that's going to give you a bonus in certain stats, but also a negative in other stats.
There's something I've been thinking about would be cool if it was added in another game that was similar to Scum.
What is that?
So imagine if you start a character, you get you know, the next screen would be where it shows you get random perks and cons for your character, making the game a bit more random with every character. So for instance, maybe that ties in to the flaws that you're speaking of. So I don't know, maybe you get a character that was athletic and I don't know, gets 5% increased movement speed, but he has a weak heart, so he has to be careful with any kind of diseases that attack a heart or something like that, you know. Get some pros and some cons, but the problem is it would have to kind of make sense with your character.
Do you think do you think it would be better to have it be random or to be able to choose?
Personally, I would say that it's choose would be better, because you really need to decide in advance what penalties your character is going to have.
But the idea is more of really minor flaws and perks.
Well,
Just to make it a bit more
But if the flaw is going to be
interesting.
something like an addiction or a heart condition, then you really need to know those kind of things in advance, don't you? So that you can build your character around that.
There could be also a setting that you can either customize it yourself or just take a random selection of the perks and cons.
I definitely think
randomize buttons, so you could do a quick.
yeah, there's a randomize where it randomizes the whole entire thing, so you could do that if you wanted. But I can say that I agree with both of you. Like, I wouldn't mind either way. Like, if it's random, I can agree with it being random to kind of add that aspect to the game. But at the same time, me personally, I would like to be able to choose it, because then I can kind of go further into developing and making the character feel like it's mine, versus random things thrown in. But again, like I said, I do like both options. Either one I'd be okay with.
My main problem with choosing your own is the fact that people would just probably stick to some meta or something like that, you know.
Uh,
Main problem with choosing yourself. I was actually, when I thought about it, it was for DayZ. You know, in DayZ it's always the same. Your character doesn't mean shit. You literally just choose how he looks, and that's all. And when I was playing the game, I thought, hey, it would be nice if we could have some perks and cons and stuff like that. And it reminded me that it could be fun in Scum as well, but it's a lot harder because you cannot have like a athletic perk and then you have a fatso as your character. You know, it doesn't really go well together. Or if you can choose a backstory, as you said about the icons,
yeah.
it would probably also have to tie in with that backstory in some way. So it would
I
be a
think
bit complicated to do
with
probably.
this going into the backstory thing, I think all this together is kind of the backstory in a way, because you create this character, this prisoner, and you give them these stats, like what they're gonna look like. I doubt you'll be able to give them a name, but if you can, fine. No, you will be able to. Never mind. That's a complete lie. Don't listen to that. You can't give them a name. So you can give them a name, and then you can customize them to like this type of degree. And sure, you can't really have a bunch of different hairstyles and stuff like that, but stat-wise, it seems like it's gone really, really in depth, to where creating this set body that you start with, creating these set skills that you start with, and then the crime, the flaws, the gear, and whatever else options it gives you at the beginning kind of creates like your character as a whole. Like you have that base character development that you need for character creation, and then your story is whatever you do in the game. So this is kind of just giving you that basic background, because what's outside of this game, in my opinion, and probably in the developer's opinion when they were making this, is it didn't really matter too much what happened in the background. You're here now, and they kind of want to give you that basic, this is who you are at this moment going in, and then whatever you do from now on is who you're going to be type of thing.
Yeah,
I
didn't
just
they?
want to add one thing to the gear thing that's at the bottom. I have a feeling that it's going to be something like what they have in the show Survivor, where you can choose a personal item to bring with you to the island.
Okay, and Kakoda, you said you were going to say something, right?
Yeah, didn't they talk in one of the streams, if I'm not mistaken, that you can, yeah, you sure you can check you can select your want. I'm stupid.
It's fine. It's
Don't
fine.
worry, man. Just
It's
take a
fine.
breath and go for it.
You can do it, bro.
Basically, what I was trying to say, that you can
Basic.
select some of your stats at the beginning, but you can also develop them later in the game to whichever you want. You can max them all if you want, but it's gonna take you some time.
Yeah.
So it honestly doesn't matter at the sure, at the beginning it's gonna probably matter strength above all else, because you're gonna use hands or some primitive tools. But later on, you're gonna more focus on the other attributes than the strength. So.
Actually,
Yeah,
If you-
I'd
maybe,
say tell all the way.
maybe because I don't know how much you know about Scum, or do you have a lot of knowledge about Scum, or at least a limited knowledge?
I have a limited knowledge.
Okay, basically, I would say that it's going to be important right off the bat as well, so I'd have to disagree, because when you create your character, you choose your skills, it's going to pretty much choose what you're proficient at as well. So that means, say, you put all your strength skill into a gun, for example, rifles, and then you find a rifle, you're going to be really proficient at, like, you're going to be more proficient at this rifle than somebody who didn't. You're going to be able to use it better, or you're going to be able to cook better meals, or cook things, and this is right at the beginning. And sure, eventually you'll be able to level everything up and get everything up, because everything dynamically changes, but this is also going to take real time, and who knows how long this is going to take. Like, sure, at low levels it might be like a couple hours to a couple days, but at later levels it's going to take a really long time. They want it to be 100+ hours to actually fully max out a skill, and that's going to take a while. And if you want to max everything, I mean, just adding all that time together, that's going to be a lot. So whatever you get a boost in is going to give you an advantage over whoever didn't put it in that boost.
Yeah, I do understand what you're trying to say. I'm just what I was trying to say is that at the beginning of the game, when you start, you're probably gonna. It's gonna be probably harder for you to find some rifles or guns at the beginning. You could be incredibly lucky,
Quite hard.
sure, but I have a feeling it's gonna be more important with the melee or unarmed combat at the beginning.
I definitely agree with you in that
With the
aspect.
exception with one exception. If you participate in a lot of events right out of the get-go, having a high rifle skill will come in very handy.
And I mean, not only that, I mean, it really, I guess it's situational in this aspect. Because say at the beginning you don't really do much, and it's basically just like rocks and stuff that you find. Sure, then it'd be like melee and stuff like that. But say you do stumble across a gun, or you stumble across a vehicle, or you stumble across something where you actually did put the skills into, you would instantly get that boost. And for instance, if you put skill into education, you're going to learn stuff a lot faster than somebody who didn't. So depending on how you make this, you can actually boost higher than anyone else, or higher than the average player. It just really depends, like, where you're going to be able to put these skills and what you do with these skills. And then also the people who play, the streamers and the YouTube content creators who stream it for the 4 days early access are going to know the map better, so they'll be able to create a character that's a little bit more optimized than us, in terms of they already know where certain things are going to be. So they're going to be able to, like, okay, if I want this car and I want to get my driving skill up, I can just put my driving skill up and then run instantly to this car. Or I know a gun spawns here, so I'm going to put my skills into this gun. Like, it's really going to depend on the how many people stream versus how many people don't. And then for the people who don't, what they put their skills in and their chances of successfully just stumbling across something that goes with their skill.
When it comes to spawn locations, I have a feeling they're probably going to set it so it's randomized, at least to an extent. Like, yeah, you'll be able to find guns more often in military bases or airstrips and whatnot, but the actual container that you find it in, I think, is going to be randomized.
It is. They actually do plan on randomizing it, but I don't know if that's going to be on release. They did say that they planned on it, so I'm assuming it may not be at release. And also, it's not always going to be in a container. It will be actually laying around on, say, a table or the floor or something as well.
Oh yeah, and there's also a chance that you can find it off of a puppet or puppy once you kill
Puppies.
it.
Puppies, man. It's not puppet anymore. We went over this.
Yeah, for example, Syntax's background, if nobody noticed.
He still has the puppies
There's a
going.
reason for it.
Okay,
But yeah, no, once you kill the puppies, there's a chance that you can find loot like guns and military equipment off of their bodies.
Hello, Forlan.
yeah, you will be able to get them. Now, another thing to move on from this, to go a little bit more, is if you decide to fully put your character as a muscular character, so say 5, your skills are most likely gonna have 4 strength, 5 constitution, 1 dexterity, 2 intelligence, and no matter what one you max out on, out of the 4 attributes, you're always gonna have 12 points, and then plus whatever you get for your bonus in terms of your character age. But I just wanted to quickly go over like what your stats would look like if you did max out as a certain attribute. And then if you choose dexterity, you're gonna get 1 strength, 5 con, 4 dex, 2 intelligence. Then your fat 1, 4 strength, 1 con, 2 dex, and 5 intelligence. And then, like I was saying, just so I can get it, let's see, I don't know too much about the 3 of them or anything like that, but basically, your skills that you choose are also going to give you bonuses, whereas dex is going to probably help you with how fast you reload, and maybe it even helps with how fast you unholster your gun and then holster it again. Like, it's going to have its own passive skills with each action.
Yeah, for example, like reloading a clip for a gun.
And Syntax, you were going to say something, or?
I just thought about the gear, background, and crime things. How about if your background gives you some kind of a minor boost to your attributes, depending on which background you choose? So something to make sense. I don't know, you were a boxer before you got sent to prison, have 1 strength, you know, something like that.
Okay.
And the crime. So literally you choose what crime you did. Let's say somebody was a hacker. They get a slight bonus to their hacking skill, or I don't know, something tied in together, but they get a skill boost with the crime. And the gear is the gear. Probably just gonna choose some kind of starting gear.
Yeah,
once
might be like
life,
a lighter or a
this,
card or
that.
something, I don't know.
Yeah, something minor for a start.
Going in, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm briefly just going to go over again just all the skills that are for each attribute you got. If you guys don't mind, I'll just list them all off.
We also have, I wasn't listening, sorry, I was reading the chat.
Oh no, that's fine. Do we have a question?
Yes.
Okay, we can answer that first.
So, Berry one, I think I'm saying it good. welcome and hello, and he asks, "Good afternoon. I've got a question. The character is heavily dehydrated. What is the effect of this dehydration?"
I actually don't have the effect of what it's going to do aside. It's probably, I mean, assuming off this is just my own guess, is it's probably going to slow down how fast you can run or maybe make you a little bit more exhausted. It might even affect your proficiency with certain things. I know, however, that you won't instantly die when it drains. It's actually going to take a little bit, like real life, you're not going to die the instant you're thirsty. It's going to take a couple days before you start feeling like drastic effects. But my basic example, like I said, is it's most likely going to affect exhaustion, and it might make you susceptible to other things. But what about you guys? Do you guys got anything to go to that?
There is one thing that I've got when it comes to the hydration meter that's at the bottom left of the screen. Once that hits 0, if I'm not mistaken, at that point, if you go to take a drink of water and you drink a full liter instead of 500, your body will actually metabolize that a lot faster when you're dehydrated versus when you're not. In the game I'm talking about, they've stated that the more dehydrated you are, the faster your body will metabolize the water.
Okay.
So the faster your body will be able to take in the water, I mean.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, like I said, they're going in for realism in a lot of accounts, so that would make sense. Now, do we have another question we can go, or...?
Unfortunately, no. That was the
Okay,
one.
that's fine. I can just go straight into listing the skills so that anybody watching this will actually be able to know every single skill that's with all the attributes. And so for the strength skills, it's going to be unarmed combat, rifles, handguns, melee, archery, and heavy weapons. And then the strength attribute is also going to help with decreasing recoil. Now, is there anything you guys want to mention before I go on to the next one where we list the different skills?
Well, before we get started with that, I just want to know, are these the skills that are going to be available at launch, or are these the ones that are going to be at launch plus
No, this
the
is
ones
plus
that are
the
coming
ones that are going to be
during
coming as well, that we were shown that are blacked out. So just to specify, not all of these skills will be there at release, but they will eventually be there.
Yes.
Okay, and Syntax.
You have the floor.
Max strength, max hardening.
Okay, we already know your character's gonna be beefy, okay? Okay, and okay, Constitution skills are gonna be running, endurance, resistance, and then swimming. This is gonna affect your total stamina, exhaustion, wounds, illness, and how well or not well drugs affect you, and of course your overall body condition. Is there anything you guys want to mention about these skills, or maybe the condition itself?
Yeah, you want to focus on that.
Yeah, most likely.
You want a healthy body if you're going to survive. Obviously, it's Constitution
Personally,
5.
I would actually disagree with that. I would say put your endurance at the minimum and put as much points in the other ones, because the endurance would be the easiest one to grind out to increase once you've actually gone into the world.
I mean, if you do think of it in the way of, like, because you'll be running a lot. But, I mean, what if
Exactly,
somebody
yeah.
doesn't want to run a lot to get that? What if they want that boost at the beginning? Like, I mean, obviously, for people who are, like...
Well, then they're going to have penalties from the other attributes.
Yeah, obviously.
They're not putting
But,
the
like,
points
there's
in
going to be people who, like, okay, well, I don't want to run this time, so I want max stamina, max running, etc. They're going to want to be able to have that up. Obviously, for people who are, like, stat monkeys, and they want to make their character the perfect stat start, they're not going to probably choose endurance. But, I mean, you know, to each their own, everybody's going to have their own specific way, and I think that is also what makes it great. Like, every character will be different. Especially over time.
No doubt.
You guys got any questions, or
A
we ready
year
to
down
move
the line, I could see almost every character having like 5, 5, 5, 5 in their attributes.
If they live, though.
Yes, if they live.
That's a huge thing. I mean, come on. So pause before we go to the next one, actually, onto that. You gotta think, games like this, when you see a person, how often do you not kill them for fear of them killing you, run away, or they kill you, or you say, you know what, I'm not going to kill them, then they kill you, or you decide to work together and then they kill you. I mean, you can see where I'm going with this. Like, 90% chance somebody's going to kill you.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of anxiety about it.
Let's just call it greed.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you, like, right now, if I see somebody and they have a gun, and, like, they're close to me, and then, like, I have a gun as well, more often than not, one of us is going to betray each other, because I'm going to be thinking the whole entire time, well, this might be fun hanging out with this person, but I don't know them. I see that gun, and they might be thinking the same thing. And Syntax, you're kind of
Or, you know,
muted for me, at least.
or, you know, when When they see me, a lot of the time they'll probably think, "Oh shit."
It's still not coming through for me.
Bastard.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you. There you go. There you go. Oh, I thought you were... okay. He's messing around. Got it. Okay, but the skills in dexterity are going to be stealth, weapon throwing, driving, motorcycling, piloting, sailing, climbing, stealing, pickpocketing, opening locks, and picking them. This is going to affect your reload speed and, like I said, how fast you holster and unholster your weapons. Now, this one obviously has a ton of skills, but it's probably tied, if not second to the one who has the most. And that next one is actually intelligence. But before we go into that, do you guys want to say anything about this one?
When it comes to the dex skills, a lot of them are not going to be available at launch.
Yeah,
I think
that's
there's only
true.
about 3 that are at launch or something.
I think there's actually 5, maybe.
For the dex? I thought dex only had.
But
like,
it may have
3
3, but holding it off unless we know for a fact. I can pull a picture up if you guys want to talk about something, and I can tell you what's going to be available at launch. Or we could just hold that till after I do the last one, and then I can tell you all the skills that will be available at launch, and then the ones that won't be.
Yeah, that works.
Jay tricked. We are not live streaming Scum. We are making a Scum discussion, and what you can see on our streams is a past broadcast from the developers themselves, which we've added, just so you have something about Scum in the background.
Whereas mine is the release date trailer.
Okay, you guys bring something up. I'm going to actually switch the thing that I have to be a little bit more exciting than showing the stat page anymore. So why don't you guys talk about one of the dex builds or what you're going to do, and I will
You want to be
quickly deal
so
with this.
fun in Scum? Is if you could jump off of a tree, land on top of a drone, and ride the drone around on the island.
It wouldn't wait. Does
What about getting off the drone?
You just wait until it goes over top of water and drop in the water.
Obviously, you grab a
what
parachute,
if it
guys.
doesn't? Screw parachutes. Parachutes are for pussies.
Well,
But
there
I
are
honestly,
airstrips, so there could be parachutes.
well, there are
Put
planes
that in.
also, so that actually will be in the game sooner or less, I think.
There we go. I
But
switched mine.
As far as dexterity goes, I don't really find it to be useful.
Yeah,
for the
I'd have to
beginning,
agree with you.
especially in the very beginning of early access when there probably isn't gonna be much vehicles and stuff like that. So
Like I said, maybe as you're saying, like the only well things thought out in dexterity right now, as of release, is probably the weapon throwing and then pickpocketing
reload
and
factor.
lockpicking, maybe. Because maybe they don't have those,
Pickpocketing.
you know? I mean, I don't know. It's like,
I don't think pickpocketing is gonna really be a thing in the game. Maybe if you
No.
can pickpocket in safe zones when somebody is, letting their guard down because they believe they're safe. In the safe
honestly,
zone
I think I'm going to have to agree with you. Like, honestly, with this, if they don't allow you to do it in a safe zone, or say some character isn't paying attention, I really don't see a point in the pickpocketing. The pickpocketing, because if you pickpocket somebody, like, why don't you just kill them to take their stuff? Like,
Okay, so we have puppies and we have lick pocketing.
no, we're not making this a thing.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so lick pocketing, I was actually thinking because there's going to be high security areas where there's going to be quote unquote SWAT people or something. I could see if you get into one of those high security areas where pickpocketing will come into play with PvE.
You know what? I'm gonna take my thing back. Only because, say you don't want to go in guns blazing, and you want to actually stealth it. Say you want to play it like Assassin's Creed, and you're like, okay, I see these people, I could kill them, or maybe you can't kill them, but you still want to go in, and you can tell who has the key. And you go around just kind of going up and pickpocketing and try to do it that way. It's very viable for a stealth option when it comes to PvE, but for PvP, I don't see a point.
Yeah, especially when it's third person.
Yeah. Well, you could switch to first person as well.
But you have no idea what the other person will be in, so you don't know.
Well,
if
oh,
they're
okay,
in
yeah,
first
true.
or
But
third.
I was aiming more towards the PvE aspect when you're doing that, because I don't think the AI is going to see in third person.
Well, if it's gonna be a
Well, actually, that's interesting. If somebody comes up behind you you don't actually see them. Will it render you when you come up close?
Oh
enough to
yeah,
go
because the
top
stealth,
person?
remember? Because it'll actually make you invisible and they're not looking
Exactly.
directly at you. So,
Yeah,
can you
so
imagine
they
that, like,
might not
sitting
even
there?
render
Can you imagine sitting there and all of a sudden, like, something's gone
There's
from
somebody
your
just sitting there
wait,
right
wait,
behind you.
can they take the gun out of your hand? Without you know, because if I see the gun disappear...
Oh, disarm.
Like,
Oh my god.
can
that
they?
would be
That's
funny
actually
as
a good
hell.
idea.
Yeah, like, what if they do that and they actually stealth up to you, take the gun from you, and you're like, oh, crap, and like, don't move, I'll shoot, follow me, or you're done, and be like, okay, I don't want to... Oh, and you know the thing? Actually, I gotta bring this up. The thing that makes this a lot better than games like Rust DayZ or anything similar to this is if you sneak up to someone, disarm them, take the gun, it's not just, oh, I die and I respawn and lose, like, a certain amount of stuff. You actually lose skill as well. You're not just losing the stuff you found and can just find it. You're losing your character skills as well. You're going to do a downgraded version of yourself. So there's more to lose than just the random gear you might have picked up or a really good gun. You're losing your character as well. This actually makes it to where you're going to think before you do something like disobey the person who just disarmed you and has your gun aimed at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna definitely have to be a lot more cautious.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually think about that until we got into this topic, so... I mean, I'm glad I actually got to think about that, because now I'll actually think that in the game.
Everybody in the game, watch your backs.
I'm taking your gun!
Yeah, I have a feeling there's gonna be a few people that just gonna sneak up to someone, steal their gun, just gonna walk away. And there's a chance they won't even notice they don't have a gun until a zombie's going after them.
Can you imagine being in the middle of a
Sneak
fight?
up behind them, steal their sniper rifle off their back, sneak away.
Can you just imagine, like, two teams fighting, and then, like, you just sneak up behind them, take the gun, and run?
That
Just
should be
like,
epic.
it's mine now! Like, just take all their guns, and now, like, one team doesn't have guns, and you're just like...
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
God. Or like, okay guys, I'm gonna throw that grenade that I saved specifically for this occasion.
Wait,
Wait, what?
I have a feeling there's also gonna be someone who's just gonna go around stealing pants.
There's going to be definitely, I can guarantee
That's
that.
gonna be me.
Now, my question is, on the topic of disarming, can you also set off a grenade in somebody? Like in Skyrim or Fallout or something like that, where you place something in them, and it explodes in their pockets? Like, do you think
So
you'd be able to
doing
do
like
that?
a sabotage instead of taking
Yeah.
something away.
Well, if it's not gonna be in the game at the start, I believe it's gonna be added. But if not, you can always just throw it.
I
on the ground
definitely
and
think this
run.
is a suggestion that the devs should take for it, because I think that'd be cool if you could sneak up, place a grenade, and then run. Let's make sure it's like timed, or you know how long you have to run away from the grenade. You know, you don't want to place it and die with them.
Of course.
Also, on the topic of that, can you
Dude.
place whatever you want on them? Like, could you take like 500 rocks, for example? Obviously, I don't think you'll be able to carry that, and then throw it on them so they can't run.
Oh,
What if-
sabotage them weight-wise. Yeah, that'd be
And syntax?
What if we could one day get the ability to write our own pieces of letters, you know, on paper?
Oh,
and
leave it
whatnot?
like I was here.
Imagine going around and leaving messages on people.
Like, slave to the games, stole your gun, I owe you.
And just one for intelligence, so they couldn't read any of that.
And it says, I touched you.
You never saw me, but I was there. Just be like,
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be so paranoid now after watching this. They'll just be like,
Yeah,
You see-
also about adding,
oh, as you're saying.
yeah, also about adding items. For example, you were talking about a grenade.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool if you could basically make a hook, for example, and hook the grenade to them.
Walk far enough
What do you-
away.
what do you
pull the
mean?
hook, instead of
Oh,
going
like
in,
like
far
something
enough
to
Yeah.
pull it. Okay. So instead, kind of like a timed thing, but
Yeah.
I got it.
Why
Just
not?
giving you a chance to get further away before it goes off.
Because I have a feeling there's gonna be some kind of a sound when you obviously.
Oh yeah,
pull the pin.
definitely.
And yeah, when you go to someone and just place the bomb and pull the pin, yeah, they just have to turn around.
Yeah, because what if they turn around and just run at you?
It would be
But
kind
if
of
it's their pocket, they would have to react fast enough to take it out of their inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or what
yeah,
if they could
yeah.
just
This would-
throw it?
so
Though?
this would actually-
What if
This would actually be balanced in a way, because A, they can hear you behind them, After you pull the pin, of course, but it's already in their pocket, so they would have to react quick enough to throw it out or whatever the hell.
Do you think, though, by doing this, though, the stealth skill would affect the sound of you pulling the pin by putting it in them?
It probably should, since it
Like-
already.
To put an example, like, say your your stealth skill is 5. If their awareness is low, because awareness is what you see, and do you think it also goes with what you hear? Like,
I
countering
think so.
that, you know?
It's awareness isn't just confined to
Yeah.
eyesight.
Yeah, it's
Awareness
also
is more
Think of it
senses.
this way. Not only
And
with
feeling
the sound of
and
the
smelling,
pin
everything,
being
you know?
pulled, not only with the sound of the pin being pulled, but you also have to take into account that once you pull that pin, you gotta friggin' book it out of there, or you're gonna be a casualty of the of the detonation.
Well, yeah, I mean, so
they will hear
dexterity
you
build.
running away from them once you pull that pin.
There you go, dexterity build, stealth max to advance, and then keep working on that. Find some grenades. Viable solution right there. You could literally create your own class and call it the Saboteur.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go.
Kamikaze.
No, you don't want to be that. You lose way too much for that. You lose way too much to do that.
No, at the start you just focus on the sneaking and just or just running and shit like that. You pull the pin and you run to them.
Okay.
No,
So,
with mine, it would be a situation where I'd put it in their inventory, I'd pull the pin, then when they go to turn around to figure out what the hell just happened, I'll just be standing there waving at them.
okay, so, Kakadani, before we continue on to the last skill listing, what I'm going to ask you is, are you interested in having a free flight? Because we definitely have a flight service that I can introduce you to someone who's going to pilot you out of the island. You know, you'll be fine. It's completely safe. 100% guaranteed that you'll definitely be blown away by the service.
Beware of iced airs.
Just saying.
I have a feeling this is a trap.
No. Trust me.
it's not a trap.
I will even
You can
Uber
trust
you
me.
there. I will drive you there, so you know it's not a trap. I'll get in the plane with you.
I'll even give you a bit of an incentive to go into the plane as well.
Yeah,
Sure, why not?
I'm gonna hold you at gunpoint. I'm gonna take over my parachute.
Okay, that's fine. We accept this. But moving on, the last thing is the intelligence, and the skills in this are going to be awareness, sniping, medical, camouflage, tactics, survival, programming and electronics, education and psychology, and then demolitions. What do you guys think about these skills? Because I definitely think
I like the
intelligence is
sound.
where my skills are going.
I like the sound of demolition.
And I'm going to put education to advanced, because they'll help me learn things faster.
Well, once education becomes available.
Yeah. But, why don't you guys talk about that while I pull up what's going to be available?
Strength and endurance.
Everybody, sorry
5.
about the pop-up screen you're about to see. Boop! Never mind, I already fixed that.
Oh, I'm just gonna add one thing for the stealth. I've got somebody in my chat named Sasquatch.
Yep.
Just mention
Oh,
watch
Sasquatch.
for moving bushes.
Fortnite? Is that a Fortnite reference?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure it is.
It's probably a reference to perhaps having some kind of ghillie costume in the game.
Yeah, that will be
Eventually, at
there.
least.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Yeah, I know, with the whole stealth and being able to wear camo while you're
Hello.
running around.
Watch. So with all that in mind, are you still all convinced that you will put 5 in intelligence and what after that?
Yes, 5 in intel,
Uh,
3 in strength, and the rest in dex.
I don't know. I might,
will work on my endurance throughout the game.
I might go like, depending on what's out, once I list off what's there, I might put my strength skill in archery. Because it seems like you're going to be able to craft that, and that might be the go-to weapon, at least for a while.
Well, yeah, it's probably.
I'm really bad with archery, though, but...
It's probably gonna be the first available range weapon that's gonna be of significant damage.
Yeah, definitely agree.
What if you can craft throwable knives or throwable weapons? Was that yourself?
Yeah, but they're not going to have as much range as...
I'm really bad with ranged weapons when it comes to things that aren't automatic in games, so...
What
Ah,
if
spray and pray, eh?
What if those throwable weapons have smaller range but inflict greater damage, for instance, or something like that, to balance it out?
I don't know. Let me find this out. Boop.
I mean, if you think about it, an arrow, okay, it can pierce you.
Yeah.
Definitely causes a shit ton of damage, but an throwable axe, that's a lot bigger blade than an arrow. And the arrow that you make at the beginning of the game probably doesn't even have a blade. It's just sharpened stick, you know?
Yeah, and I have a feeling that the higher level cutting tool that you throw probably deals more damage as well, because they did say that there's different tiers for the cutting tools.
Definitely.
Yeah, but the question about is actually the actual distance between the two of you.
How do you know?
But yeah, I have a feeling there's probably going to be a maximum range for throwing weapons.
Well, there's definitely going to be a maximum range. You're not just going to be able to huck it across the map. It's most likely. Like I said, the dexterity is going to be based on throwing. So between your strength and dex, it's going to determine the amount, like the range you're going to be able to throw something and how much damage it's going to do because of the power behind the throw. Like they're trying to go realistic here. So this just makes sense that both of these together is going to determine your range and strength behind it and how much damage it does. Maybe because of how much force is behind it, it'll determine the force of the impact of whatever it is that you throw or the bow that you use.
Yeah, I have a feeling there'll probably be a strength modifier to the damage that's done when it comes to throwing weapons.
Yeah, like for example, if you throw it at like a few meters away, it's gonna do max damage, but if it's like 10 meters away, it's gonna do less damage.
It actually might do less damage close too, because you won't have enough time to wind up the throw that you'll need. You know, there might be a certain distance, that you'll need for them to be where you can do the effective damage and that peak damage that you want to be able to achieve.
Yeah, so thrown weapons would be mid-range, bow would be long range, and then melee would be close range.
Pretty much.
I think throwable weapon should be more of a close to medium range, while the bow should be medium to long range, not just long range, you know. It should be a bit less, kind of. But here's Squash is also saying definitely what I thought. So he says, like, javelin is light and can be thrown further than a spear, but the spear would hit harder. So that's exactly what I meant, actually, with the throwable weapons as opposed to a bow, for instance. But, I don't know, this actually makes dexterity viable, at least somewhat. If you take into account the throwable weapons, maybe it's gonna be...
Oh, jeez. There we go, let me fix this. You guys keep talking, I just need to fix my screen. Thank you guys for the patience.
Okay then.
And that's why I plan to put half of the leftover points, once I get my intel maxed out, into dex. So I'm splitting it even between strength and dex.
I don't know, I'm still saying
what it
I'll
is.
probably go for maximum strength, then the maximum amount I can go for endurance. And after that...
So you're gonna be a
If
fast
there's-
little bugger.
yeah, so if there's like any point left at all, which I don't think there will be, maybe intelligence for education, but that's also when it actually enters the game.
Yeah?
Yeah, you know, he's the one that we're gonna be passing notes to, just to try and see if we can get him to read it.
I actually had to sit there and mess with my screen while we were talking, because what I did is I ended up switching the media source, and it ended up just full screening, and I had to actually readjust it, and then I ended up pulling up the skills for
so
intelligence and dex, and then it popped up the screen and took away our camera. So for everybody who's watching this, I apologize for that brief moment of lapse between it. I'm still working it out.
Also, Squatch has a question: will we be able to throw rocks or knives at all? I think we will be able to throw rocks, but I'm not so sure if we'll be able to throw crafted stone knives.
I think...
Yes, they actually showed that in their stream that they did a couple
Well,
days ago.
here's the thing with that is, I think you'll definitely be able to throw knives and have throwing knives, but what if you craft one that's a specific melee knife, will you be able to throw that melee knife as well? Is what I think he's
I have a
asking.
feeling that
question,
any of the
yeah.
cutting tools you'll be able to throw.
And now, before we go in there, I'm actually going to be able to list the exact deck skills that are here, and are you ready? It's actually, we were both wrong. There's only 2. And that's going to be...
2 deck skills right
Yep,
off the bat.
right at release.
Seriously?
Yep, at release, there's only going to be stealth and throwing.
Ah.
That is
Well,
it.
so basically, the only two that are worth something.
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah, pretty much.
in intelligence, you're gonna have 6: awareness, sniping,
7.
medical, camouflage, tactics, cooking, and survival. That's 7. 1, 2, 3,
Oh, yeah,
4,
7.
5,
7.
Ah, okay, 7. It's far away. Okay, it's.
Okay, so how about strength and constitution?
That's actually gonna take me a minute. So continue talking about something else, and I will get that as well.
Yeah, strength is unarmed, rifle, and melee.
Oh, that's the only one that's available right now?
Yeah, from what I can see. From
Okay,
the
now what about Constitution?
I think Constitution has a
running,
fair amount of them, though.
endurance, resistance.
Oh, okay,
Is
so
there
yeah.
swimming in there as well?
Is
Is
swimming
there
on there?
swimming in there as well? As one of the ones that's available at
It's-
launch?
It's
Well,
grayed
no,
out, so I suppose not.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
Does
so
that mean I
go-
can't get to the monastery at the center of the lake?
No, you can swim. You can still swim. You can
It's
swim at
just
the
I'm not
beginning
going
of
to be able to level
It's
up that
just
skill.
you're gonna be really, really bad at it, and it's gonna probably
Damn it.
take a while. But there's still boats, maybe, because you'll get the skill. So maybe the boats are there, just the skill's not implemented, or maybe the boats and the skill isn't in the game right now. That's still
Yeah,
not
but
confirmed for
both
me.
require sailing. and
Yeah, that's why I
sailing
was saying like, maybe. Because I mean, are you not gonna be able to swim at the beginning? Is that it? Because they said even
Yeah.
if you don't have skill, you'll still be able to do something. It's just not going to be as proficient or as good as somebody who has skill in it, and you'll still be able to bring it up over time. So, what I take from this is you're still going to be able to swim, but you're going to be really bad, and you're never going to be able to level it up because the skill isn't implemented yet.
Oh, guys, actually, there's one thing that I think they might end up doing. The grayed out skills might be skills that you can't put points into at character creation, but you can still level up in the game.
I
Yeah,
think right
I don't
now
think
maybe,
so,
but I don't
honestly.
think that's what they're doing. I think it's just skills they haven't fully implemented. I don't
Yeah,
think it's
okay.
going to be something like that, because if they do that, then like think of it this way: they want you to be able to customize your character, choose your skills, and everything like that. Why would they make it to where you could only have these certain skills in game when they already have it to where you can't max them without playing the game? They want you to be able to have diverse characters, and they pretty much advertise that they want every character to be unique. And in order to be unique, they need to start with different skills. They need to be able to change over time, and having these two competing factors, it's going to be really hard for two people to be the exact same way. And then to add even more skills, it's truly going to make every character unique in a certain way.
And also, Squatch is saying it would be nice if we could use leather to craft a sling, and getting hit by a rock would hurt, but one thrown by a sling would have a greater impact, doing more damage.
It would make
I think
sense.
I think that goes something with the bow improvements I spoke about. It would be nice if we could somehow improve our weapons, at least the handcrafted ones.
Yeah, you will. That's through, I believe that's through the crafting skill that either is going to be there or should be there. The
should
better you
dip
are
my
at something,
arrows
the
in
more
the pit.
proficient you're going to be at making whatever it is. So if you craft
I
a
should.
bow at, like, say, no skill in whatever it is that you are required to use to craft it, probably survival or something similar to that, it will be pretty bad at no skill and might not even work, and it might take some time. Like, say you might actually use supplies and then fail and have to get more supplies, and then when you're a master at it, be able to create a perfect bow that does more damage than a beginner level bow.
Guys,
Yeah.
a bow with arrows that are dipped in shit.
I mean,
No.
I guess you could do it if you wanted, but
Well,
I think that
think
goes
about
along
it.
the
It would
lines of
create a contamination issue in the blood of the person that got hit by the bow.
well, I mean, if you're gonna try to go for contamination and being able to affect somebody's healthiness, then honestly,
You'd rather make poison.
yeah, I would go for
For fuck's
poison, or at the very least, if you really want to be that person who wants to mess with poo or poop, then just put it in their water supply of a well that they make or something, or put it like in their water bottle or something. Like, I still think that with what I suggested there, this and what you suggested is a little bit on the lines of being silly, and me personally, as a player who's going to be playing Scum, I don't want it to be something that isn't serious. I want it to have fun and some silly moments every now and then, but the silly moments and the funny moments and the ridiculous moments, I want that to be from the people I'm playing with, not from the actual game mechanics. I want the game to be serious, but to be able to have fun in the aspect of where I'll be able to mess around and do things, and maybe that's hilarious to us because we're just having a great time, but I don't want it to be like, well, that was brought up in the last one. Sorry, in Genesis, if you're watching this, but the explosive chickens. Unless per se,
Well-
like we explained, it becomes an event for like a holiday, like Halloween or Christmas or something, and then they can add it for kind of like that brief moment. But I want the base game to be serious. And Syntax, you were gonna say something?
What if, I don't know, let's say there's a day in a week where they add something silly to the game?
I don't know. Like I said, I still stick to that because I'd rather the silliness stick to events and stick the events of silly events to holidays or certain joke days or something like that. I don't want it to be a common occurrence personally. I wouldn't want it to be like once a week or something like that because honestly, if that was the case, I'd probably avoid playing Scum on those days because I don't want Scum to turn out like that.
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, like if it was gonna do that, in my opinion, stick to the holidays, real life holidays. And then
Or
events.
yeah, maybe just stick it to events because events you can choose to opt in or not.
Yeah. And then also,
that would make
if
more
they were going to
sense.
do that and they didn't want to do it with the events, and they still want to do it server-wise, they could just make it to where you could do it on your own server that you rented or do it on modified servers that other people could put in. Like, things like that. There's plenty of ways that they can go
Yeah.
around this without it having to affect the base game and players like me, for instance, who want the seriousness of the game.
I still think
You're
it'd be
gonna
entertaining
have
as hell.
you're gonna have a bad time with me then if you want.
No, I like messing around in the game, like I said. I just don't like silly game mechanics. To put this into perspective, Dead Rising 3. I like the zombies, but I don't like how silly it is and the crafting in it because it's just ridiculous to me. I don't play it because of that. Now, if it was like, they were like, okay, we take out all the seriousness and it's just survival, I would love it. But that's kind of the situation here in terms of anything that's requested that is, in my eyes, silly. But obviously this is just my one opinion. Maybe other people share that, maybe people don't. And,
definitely think it.
okay.
It should stay just 2 events or something like that.
I do
Just
too, if
what
they're
you
gonna do
mentioned,
that. Because,
so,
like
yeah.
you said, then you can have the choice to do it or not.
Also, this would be interesting. So, Squatch also says find poisonous toads and suck poison. And oh right, sorry. Find poisonous toads and such to poison arrow tips. With all the forest in the game, there should be ways to build structures. Also.
I mean, we've already... I'll go over it again. They don't want to have it to where you can build your own bases and structures. They want you to be able to fortify existing structures in the game. And honestly, I definitely believe that that's the right way to go. But at the same time, in terms of structures that you'll be able to place, there are going to be tents. And I did see one where they said that you'll be able to strap a hammock to something. So there will be, I'm guessing, things that you'll be able to place in the world, not in structures. And the thing is with this is, I believe by not making it to where you can build outside of pre-existing structures, this is what a survival game should have. This is how I believe building bases or fortifying or getting a clan and then taking over a town should be, because then not only does this solve the fact of just realism in general, because yes, you could argue that people would build separately from towns, but the first thing people would do if they got this place is go to towns and go to pre-existing structures and then upgrade them. Now, as I was saying with this, say you wanted to, maybe eventually they'll decide to add something to where people who want to build outside and not have pre-existing structures, they'll be able to do like basic sheds or something like that, and I wouldn't really mind that. But the problem here is if you're building giant bases, let's take Ark for example, when you run into these giant bases, the game will actually start slowing down and it'll have to render in the whole entire base, to whereas if you load into the game world, it already loads in all these structures, and then you just have to render what's already in the world as you're moving closer to the object. Now imagine every 64 players in the game building their own separate thing in the game. It's going to add more strain to the server.
Yeah, it's gonna turn into Rust.
Well,
With having a
Watch.
base every like 100 feet kind of thing, it's ridiculous. I honestly am completely against the whole base building aspect because with the developers, they have stated that they don't want to have base building because they want the landscape to stay as pristine as it is right now.
Okay, and Syntax, you were going to say something?
So Squatch asks, so they want big empty forests for people to run through all day. Well, you could use tents to put in the forests or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
mean,
While I agree there shouldn't probably be any big base building stuff, huge bases and stuff like that that you can craft yourself. I still think there should be at least some basic shelters you can craft.
I can agree with that.
Nothing over the top, like put a roof over your head and maybe add a rain collector, for instance, to get some water.
Maybe
and simple things like that.
a thing to add to that, that I can add on to what you were saying, like basic structures. Maybe through these basic things, like you said, just like a roof and like you grab sticks and you can build, for instance, like take the forest for example, how you can get like blueprints and build like basic shacks and cabin on top of a tree or something like that. Maybe like stuff like that, and then like they could maybe in the future implement carpeting and actual building skills that will work towards the basic stuff. But I don't think it should ever be any more than, like you said, a basic one, like a cabin or something like that, or a tree house, or just a small camp. Because at the same point, say you're with like a group of 8 people or even more, you can, like, one empty field can turn into a giant field of tents.
Yeah, it can just get really overpowering at times.
I mean, just imagine that. Like, this empty field or forest you go into can suddenly be filled with a bunch of people living there in their tents and having whatever they plan to put there. Like, their traps surrounding it. It can actually turn into a fortified forest or a fortified plain.
Well, also Squad says, no, but there should be something. Non-fixed items that players can place gives a reason to explore areas for hidden player things, chests, and whatnot. I think this would also be probably a solution if you could make some basic structures like that, because I know I myself would also like to find a nice little piece of land in the game and make it my small base or whatnot. And that would be a solution to that. Basically, you go around and steal other people's shit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think that that's a good thing to implement.
Technically you can, just without the building. Because you could set up a little base, having 3 or 4 tents, like what Slave was saying, and then setting up booby traps all around the outside of your base, and that would act like a wall for your base.
Yeah, but I kind of that it would be kind of cool if they could add something like you could bury some of the stuff, for example.
You can do that, actually.
You can.
Basically, you can make a backup stock, for example, or a hideaway, for example, if you die.
Yeah, you can.
Reserve of supplies,
You can do that. You
And
can dig a hole and actually put stuff in there. Now, I guess to end this topic so that we don't go on it too long, we can all like kind of go on it. I think that adding basic building to the game, or basic object placing of certain things, like I said, 1 story to 2 at the very max, and not being able to create a billion of them, would work. Like, maybe the way they can do it is later on you'll be able to get a blueprint for a certain type of shack or something, and then you can place that blueprint wherever you want in the world, and then you get the key by buying it. Like, because this goes with the blueprint, you buy a key that will, like we explained before, you'll need a key to earn it or buy it through fame points to actually own a pre-existing place. You could do the same thing with this blueprint, and then lock it, and then that's your place, you know? It would make sense to how they could keep it to be yours and fit it into how they're doing the base fortification now.
Yeah, if they do something like that, I think it should only be 1 level. It shouldn't have a 2nd floor or basement, just because of the fact that it's in the forest. And building 2-level houses is, in real life, ridiculously hard out in the forest.
Would you say, Syntax, that it should remain keyless?
Not remain keyless, but you should not be able to buy a key from a vendor or whatnot. It breaks immersion.
Well,
you should be able to craft the key yourself.
Okay,
some way or another.
Okay, that would make sense for this specific area.
Yeah, for instance, you need pickpocketing skill at a certain level to be able to craft a key, because... no, sorry, not pickpocketing. I don't know, something that has lock... Is there a lockpicking?
It could just be carpeting and blacksmithing or something like that.
Yes, there is a
something
skill.
A skill... They could just call it...
Oh, yeah.
They could literally call it key making.
Or it can be tied in with lockpicking.
Yeah, that would work.
Pickpocketing and lockpicking is the same thing.
Just so you guys know, to move on to this is there's actually going to be a focus mode in the game. So whereas normally your awareness would generally affect like how well you see everything around you, and somebody would actually have to see you, like you'd have to look at them to actually spot them. And just for a quick second, hey Ninja Slayer, thanks for stopping by. I just want to say hi to you so you know I wasn't ignoring you or anything. And then also when you right click, it will actually narrow your vision so you can actually specifically look at something in greater detail and farther away in front of you, but it'll limit your peripheral vision. It's called focus mode.
Yeah, and also lick pocketing and lock picking aren't the same things.
Jesus. It's a thing now, isn't it? It's really a thing.
Oh my god.
Of course it is.
Okay.
Watch, Keg is gonna come back and go, what the hell did you guys do?
That's gonna be awesome tomorrow.
Now, on the topic of how to get to Advanced Plus. Now, I kind of came up with my own idea on this by looking at other people's videos, looking at other information that people have been asking about, and then people replying. There hasn't really been anything confirmed about how you're going to do it. Basically, do you think it's going to be you just keep on shooting a gun, or you kill a certain amount of people, or you run for a certain amount of time, or you stay healthy and fit for a certain amount of time, a couple of days? Like, do you think it's going to have a milestone, kind of like a bookmark achievement you'll have to reach to get there? Or do you think just you're running and your skill is just slowly adding XP?
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be the grind.
You don't think it'll have anything to do with an exact milestone you'll have to reach?
I don't think so.
The milestone is the leveling up factor.
Yeah.
If you're already at the advanced, to get to the advanced plus, you got to continue the grind.
Okay, so you definitely don't think that they're gonna get you to a certain point where you get to advanced, then you get farther, but the only way to fully achieve advanced plus is to not only grind it, but then to actually achieve doing a specific quest or goal.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible. It's easy to implement, and it's quite possible, but I don't think so. At least not for now in early access.
Okay. Anybody got anything to add?
Yes, Gemsick, thank you. Next topic, maybe?
Okay, I was like, do you got anything to add? And I was like saying that. Ah, damn, I can't even write that. Okay, but anyways, yeah, I do actually have other topics that I can bring up. But we are running out of the skill ones, and I believe we're also running low on how soon we're actually going to be ending this in terms of the stream. Yeah. So I think a couple more topics that I can bring up in terms of the skill will actually end what skill facts I have that are new, and then we can kind of end it there if you guys are alright with that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to have is, everybody don't cover me while I'm actually looking for this fact. Cover me! Dude, oh, you added something. Okay.
Disappearing.
You're officially invisible.
I guess I'll just read this last thing I have. Is an important thing to remember is that even with all of these skill points that you spend, the attribute points that you stick with and choose, you're going to have to remember, if you don't use these skills, it will actually decrease over time.
Yeah, so you regularly have to practice the skills to keep them where
That's actually the last fact I'll actually be able to bring up in terms of skills, and I don't think we really want to go into a new subject because that's a lot more information.
And do you remember how they mentioned in the stream how you're gonna actually, if you have strength 5, if you're a buffed up dude with lots of muscle, you'll actually have to intake a shit ton of calories to be able to keep up those muscles. That's gonna be bloody insane.
To keep that physiology, yeah.
Yeah, I actually heard about that.
All the food you find, you give to me.
Okay.
Or we need that great
make a
cook.
decision right now. He only gets the fat.
Okay, he only gets that. He doesn't get anything else but the meaty stuff. We get all the healthy food.
We get the meat. He gets the fat.
We should just give him vegetables.
They're healthy.
Yeah, they are.
Live on a vegan diet.
For the most part.
Okay, but unless you guys have anything else to add, that's all I have for this stream.
Yeah, no, I'm all good.
Buff chef, good food, stay healthy. Well, yeah, we actually probably will have to have somebody that's gonna focus on cooking
Yeah,
and
that'll
on
probably
medics.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
probably going to be focusing on cooking. I don't know who's going to be the medic yet.
I will definitely be education with the intelligence whenever it comes out, but for now, I don't know. I'll have to see when the game comes out, and then we can all kind of discuss it as we start up.
Honestly, I think that at the very beginning, on our first character, we won't be focusing too much on those things. We're probably gonna explore the world, see how the mechanics work, and see how the game breathes. And that also, and I said I'm gonna run around the coast naked, yelling weirdness. So
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
he's the running target.
Well,
yeah, I'm the distraction.
Tokudane, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, since Syntax just offered, he's gonna be our practice dummy for us to shoot at.
Okay. okay, I got this. No, this is agreed upon now.
Yes, you know, all three of us are going to make ourselves some rock knives, and we're going to throw them at you.
Sounds perfect. And then once we eventually get skillful enough, you'll actually start being able to level up. And you know,
Exactly.
don't worry. I mean, I'll be able to throw knives proficiently, and so on everybody else. You'll have people to protect your character when you actually get to keep a character.
Yeah, but didn't all of you say you're not gonna max out Dex?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. It all depends on what stats I decide to when I'm in the moment of creating my character, because I might change my mind then from what I'm thinking right now.
Because I might even be the most proficient in it, or at least I might be the one causing the most damage since I'll be taking maximum strength, you know?
Yeah.
And the rest will go in Constitution, and if anything is left, which I don't think there will be, will go into Dexterity.
Okay. Well, I
You're
think.
gonna get intel.
I think.
He's gonna. Okay.
It's okay.
He's the dumb brute, quite literally.
Yeah, he's gonna be beefy, athletic, but dumb as a rock.
Yeah.
He's gonna be
He's
a
going to
hoarding
be.
dum-dum, basically.
So, I think right here is actually a great place to end it. I don't have anything else to say left other than to thank you all for stopping by and watching this, especially the people on YouTube as well, and the people here on everybody's Twitch and Syntax. It seems like you wanted to say something.
But I don't wanna end it, don't leave me.
Okay, and actually I do have a question, and this could be the last question of the stream, unless somebody else has it. Unless, Syntax, you want to continue it, I'm pretty sure you only wanted it to be like an hour or something, and we've gone over that.
I should have been asleep half an hour ago.
Okay, then the question, and that will be all, and this is from Max Lee Spartiat? I hope that's how I pronounced it right, and I got that. This game needs a big PC, or can it run on low specs? Does anybody here know the exact specs you will need to run it?
Yeah, it's
one
listed,
second, I'll
listed
pull it
on
up.
Steam. It's listed on Steam. Minimum requirement is obviously Intel Core i5-4443 or AMD FX 6300.
And I can,
8 gigabytes of RAM, which might be a problem for a lot of people. The minimum graphics should be the GTX 960 or the AMD Radeon R7 370.
And I can actually give you all who are watching and want this answer as well a site you can go to. If you just type in Scum, can I run it? There will be a link that shows up and it'll actually say that, and you will actually be able to click that, and it'll actually, you just hit save and download, you hit OK, and then it'll pop up a window saying exactly what requirements your computer meets of it, and if you can play it with the bare minimum requirements of it.
Or if you just go over to my stream, I currently have it on my stream that you can see the minimum specs.
Well, yeah, but there's going to be people watching this after.
By the way, Chaos.
Oh no,
why
I
haven't you-
literally have it live being fed
Okay.
to my stream right now.
By the way, Chaos, why haven't you screen shared?
Screen
Shy.
share.
Like screen shared the stats or anything so it shows up?
No.
No?
Screen
Discord,
shared
you can
his
see
stream on Discord. We could have used it as his webcam.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about the webcam thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a webcam. That's why.
Okay, well, I think this is a perfect place to end it now. after we've established for the third or fourth time that he doesn't have a cam. So once again, for everybody on YouTube and who are watching this after the stream's over, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned some more information that you didn't know before, or at least just enjoyed the company of us all talking about the game and why we like it and what we think's gonna become of Scum. And then for people watching on all of our Twitches, thank you for stopping by, following, watching it, and listening to us rant on about the game. Anybody got anything else to say to end this, or just...
Also, Squatch said, "Peace out, brothers."
See you later, Squatch!
Have a good night, man.
Do the whole... This is my ending it. This is how I'm ending it right now.
Okay.
Are you showing him the finger?
No, I'm not! I'm doing the full... Never mind. Never mind.
Okay, well, chaotic road out, guys. I'll see you later.
Enjoy, folks.